More to discuss. Nile Gardiner is the director of the Heritage Foundation's Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom and a former aide to Margaret Thatcher. Nile joins us live from Washington. Nile, thanks for joining us on this historic day for an historic moment. You know, Teresa May's decision, many will say it was a long time coming, but could she have done anything different? Was resigning her only way out, or was there another out for her, or was she just too boxed in at this point?
I think resignation was the right decision. I think her position as Prime Minister had become completely untenable. She had lost the support of much of her parliamentary party. She was overwhelmingly rejected, I think, by the grassroots of the Conservative Party, and she was facing catastrophic results in the European parliamentary elections, where the Conservatives were polling at less than 10%, and the vast majority of Conservative supporters had moved over to the Brexit party. So I don't think that Theresa May could have continued as Prime Minister, and indeed I think her handling of Brexit was absolutely disastrous and viewed by large numbers of her own party members as far too weak-kneed, in effect surrendering over and over again to the European Union. So I don't see how Theresa May could have continued, actually, as Prime Minister. So certainly the right decision that she made today.
Where do you see the future of the Tory party going now that she is out? You know, all eyes are pointing to Boris Johnson. He is being compared to Donald Trump. Is he the future of the party?
Well, Boris Johnson is by far the front runner in the Conservative Party race. He's very popular among the grassroots of the party. He has instant name recognition across the United Kingdom. He's also well known here in the United States as well, and has developed a strong relationship with President Trump. And I'd expect if Boris Johnson did indeed become the new Prime Minister, he would strike a very powerful relationship with the U.S. president, and you certainly see the special relationship, I think, becoming significantly more robust. After all, Theresa May and President Trump did have their differences on many issues, but there are many leading contenders for the Conservative Party leadership. You'll probably see about 15 contenders in all. Most of them, I think, are Brexiteers. But I think Boris Johnson does have a very strong track record as the former Foreign Secretary, but also he's led London twice as the mayor in a city that traditionally votes for the Labour Party. So he has demonstrated, I think, significant leadership skills, and he's certainly, I think, the man to beat right now.
And speaking of U.S. President Donald Trump, he's expected to go to the U.K. next month and meet with Teresa May, despite everything going on. What is your thinking about the optics of this kind of visit at this time?
Well, the state visit is definitely going ahead, and I think it'll be a very successful visit for the U.S. president. But without a doubt, I think that President Trump will be looking beyond Theresa May, who in effect right now is a lame duck Prime Minister for her remaining weeks in office. And I think the President will be looking ahead to a new Conservative administration, a more hardline Brexit administration that I think is going to be far more pro-American as well. And I think a key priority, of course, for President Trump will be negotiating a U.S.-U.K. free trade agreement. And I think that deal could be in place in 2020. And I think also you could see shifts in British policy on the Iran nuclear deal, for example, also on the China 5G issue. You could see, I think, a new British Conservative government more closely aligned, actually, with Washington than it is with Brussels. So I would expect to see a significantly stronger U.S.-U.K. special relationship post-Theresa May.
But back to Brexit, the next Prime Minister faces the same Brexit nightmare as Theresa May did. Who's to say that the next Prime Minister is going to be able to find a solution to the seemingly never-ending problem?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think that Boris Johnson put the issue very well today when he said that Britain will leave the European Union by October 31st with a deal or without a deal. And he made it clear that the UK would prepare for a no-deal scenario if necessary. I think that the next British government will seek a renegotiation of the EU withdrawal agreement with Brussels. If the EU is not willing to renegotiate, then undoubtedly I think we're heading for a no-deal scenario, but Britain has been preparing for the possibility of a no deal now for the last 2 years. I think much of Europe has prepared for the prospect of a no deal. And I expect that, you know, under a no-deal scenario, Britain will do just fine, actually, as the world's 5th largest economy, the fastest growing economy, major economy in Europe today. And I think that under a no-deal scenario, Britain will then strike trade deals with countries across the world, including with the United States. And I think that Britain will continue to thrive and prosper under a no-deal scenario.
All right, Nile Gardiner from the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom. Thanks so much for talking with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Just ahead.